Hey guys, what is up? Today I'll be explaining whether you should get Edelweiss or not. If you want the TLDR, no for new players and probably for endgamers. And before we start, just a quick disclaimer that this is just my personal opinion. You're free to disagree and write your own opinion in the comments section. To start, Edelweiss is a ranger that focuses on dealing damage proportional to her health while inflicting debuff depending on the skill used. Her damage is based on her max health, meaning the higher her health is, the more she deals damage. This type of damage mechanic is seen on tanks and strikers though. But based on my experience, at least on mid-investment and only 3 stars, her damage is quite underwhelming since rangers are not known for having very high health. To further understand this, let's take a look at her skills. Her first skill is a single target attack that has a decent chance to inflict unbuffable to the target for 2 turns. This skill's damage is proportional to her max health. This skill will be perfect for enemies that can buff themselves very often, but due to that literal 50-50 chance. It's basically an RNG if you're going to rely on her just for that reason, but thanks to her burst skill, which is connected to this skill, that unbuffable skill will always land, assuming that it hits the target, and make sure to equip her with talismans that can generate action points to trigger her burst skill more often. Here is her first skill animation. This is her burst effects. Here is her burst 1 and 2 animation. Finally, her burst 3 animation. Her second skill has 2 types of activation. The first one is granting a buff called a Ninja's After Image onto herself. This buff absorbs 25% of the damage dealt to allies straight to herself. I'm not sure how that 25% will be shared, but please let me know in the comments. On top of this, guarantees to inflict unhealable debuff to all enemies for 3 turns. I tried her on Arena and she's basically the first one to die since rangers are known to be squishy, and thanks to this skill, she's basically a 1-turn use just to counter opponents that uses healers. Here is her second skill animation. Her third skill is an AoE skill that targets all enemies, if there are more than 1 target. Ignores 30% of defense, but if there's only 1, completely ignore their defense. On top of this, steals all of the enemy's buffs. The damage of this skill is proportional to her max health additionally. Further increased damage based on missing health. This is a well-packed skill that can be used in Arena as a secondary attacker. For instance, using your support ranger like Tamara or Dahlia to attack first. Then use her third skill next to steal buff while dealing damage. Although building her with speed will be tough, since you need to build her with high health with some DPS stats like crit and critical damage alongside it. Though in PvE situations this might prove to be useful, especially if the boss has stacks of buff on them, but keep in mind, not all buff can be stolen, so read their skills carefully before entering the fight. Here is her ultimate skill animation. Her Chain Companion skill will grant her and the next Chain Caster 25 action points, so make sure to position her with the hero that needs action points like your main DPS or support DPS. While her dual attack skill will have a decent chance to inflict unbuffable to the target for 2 turns. If you have a hero like Valentine or Veronica at 5 stars burst 3, this might work. For her exclusive equipment, it will just grant her increased health by 35%. Is it a must? Yes, absolutely, since you need to increase her health as high as possible if you want to see higher damage output. For her build, a ton of health, critical hit chance and critical damage if you're planning to use her in PvE, but on PvP, a ton of health, speed, evasion, critical chance and accuracy since you need it for her second or third skill to hit the targets. Now, as of uploading this video, There are 3 banners running, as well as the Demiurge banner, assuming you don't have either of them. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend to skip on her and just get Air or the Demiurge banner and pick either Demiurge Stave or Demiurge Stella. Regular Stella is not a must and still pretty niche and requires heavy investing for PvP. And that is all. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video if it helped, and subscribe to the channel for more Outerplane related contents.